Hello alcohol inkers, my name is Teri Jones and I'm going to share with you more mysteries of alcohol inks, I guess is what they're called. And one of the things I adore about some of the alcohol ink covers, specific colors, specifically most of the Ranger colors that are considered earth tones, is I love how they separate out into different colors. I know somebody was talking the other day, they were trying to get a straight black that would stay black. Well, Ranger will not stay black. The Mantilla, the pinata colors do not separate the same way as the Ranger colors. And from the few Copics that I have used, they also do not separate the same way. So different inks will separate into different colors. And what you see in front of me here is this is Slate. And this is Slate on NARA. This is Slate on Graphics, DuraBright, and this is Slate on Yupo. And as we all know, Yupo stains, and it stains specifically in the blue. So what happens when I put Slate on Yupo is that you'll get the blue stain and more orange comes out. This is the same color as right here. Now here, you're not going to get the same almost cyan color. This is the same slate, but you're going to get a light blue, you're going to get a brown, and you are going to get some of the orange. And if I keep on going and going and going, I will get more orange. You will get some of the orange will come out. But this one kind of defaults to almost a red in some places, more than this one ends up defaulting to this orange. And this is Slate on NARA. And NARA, again, does partially some of the same thing. NARA actually ends up with some softer transitions, and I don't know why. I think NARA may hold the ink better, and I know the Yupo definitely holds the color, but it just ends up being blue in a lot of places. So one of the things that I've done before is I've looked at colors that really work well if you're trying to get them to separate. You can make absolutely lovely paintings just using one color. And I have before. We're using two colors. Slate is one of my favorite ones for doing that. Lettuce in the greens, and Meadow also does a really good job of that. Black is fabulous, but it is very interesting. Sometimes it really depends on which batch of black you get. I've had black that have gone into different shades, so I think that they just make their black by throwing all sorts of colors together, and then sometimes they have more orange in it and sometimes they have more blue in it or whatever. Stonewashed is another one that has some lovely colors. It ends up in a pink and a cyan. And actually Limeade also is very subtle, but it will go into different colors. So what I've done here is I've just put drops on a piece of regular paper. And you can really see the colors that end up around the edges. Those are the colors that split better. So here you've got Stonewash, which is splitting into a pink and a blue. And you got the Purple Twilight that doesn't really split at all. But here with the eggplant, it's going to come out into a blue and a pink. And the black, you don't quite see on here how far it splits. Slate, look at the greens, the blues, and the orange that happens out of that. Now these two are your pinata colors, the blue and the red, and they do not really split whatsoever. So I'm going to show you the same color on I'm going to show you how I do it and see, just what happens. So this is a piece of graphics DuraBright, and I'm going to take a combination of the Slate. I really do love the Slate. So here I'm just putting a row of Slate in here, and I'm going to take alcohol. Now, one of the other things that you need to know is this really does not work well with blending solution, because the blending solution is designed to not allow this to separate. And the DuraBright here doesn't really separate as well as the Yupo. So here I'm just I'm taking a little bit of air. You can see it's beginning to separate a bit. So now I'm going to take another little bit, and I'm going to let gravity work. Now the second time you get much more in the way of separation. I'm going to come down here and just give myself a little bit more. And then I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol here and let this come down. So now I'm starting to let these colors start really separating. Now I will tell you, do this in a well-ventilated area. Usually I don't use a lot of alcohol in what I do, because it does really get a little astringent. I am not using canned air. I find that canned air puts just way too much in the way of particles in the air. So usually if I'm going to use something like canned air, I will do it outside, or I will do it with a mask on. It's hard to talk with a mask on. I don't know how Vera does it. I know she does a lot, but I don't know how she does it. So as you can see, the more you kind of just play with this, the more the colors are going to separate. And sometimes I don't push them at all. I just let them become all by themselves. And what you'll notice, it seems as if the orange the blue stays behind and the orange kind of comes out. So I sped everything up because it ends up, I'm doing a lot of different experimenting. So here I go again. I started to try to see what it looks like with the lettuce, and I put a little bit of lettuce in the bottom. And it really, on the graphics, it doesn't separate as much as I liked it. So I went back to the top and I started working on getting more separation by just putting some alcohol on, by doing my air, putting a little more of the Slate on, and now I'm just working back and forth and trying to figure out what is going to be the composition, basically, of this painting. This painting just keeps on transforming and transforming and transforming, because I keep on playing with it. I'm looking for really beautiful, gentle transitions of colors. So here I put some more alcohol in it, and I'm starting to work with the fantastix, and I just keep on working back and forth and back and forth. I like, as you're watching this, what you're seeing is there's more of the apricot color and more of the blue color, and there's all sorts of different interesting edges. If you see them up close, they actually look better than they look here on the camera. But it's a fun process, and I think this one took me about 15 minutes. So now I'm doing it again, and I'm using the NARA paper. This time I was thinking more of flowers, and as per usual with most of my paintings, things change. So first I did the flower shapes, and what happens with the NARA is you don't really get the separation again until you put a second level of alcohol on. So I started adding more alcohol. And the NARA is almost a little bit more slippery than the DuraBright. And so I really did have a bit of a trouble trying to keep the flower idea going. So I'm still kind of working on the flower idea, and I'll put it aside in a few minutes, and I will end up changing my mind in the end. But here I've got all of this lovely separation of color happening too. The color that separates into is much different on the NARA than it is on the graphics. So the final piece that I'm going to do is a piece of Yupo. And I'm going to do the same thing I did basically on the NARA. And what you're going to see is at first it doesn't split that much. But as it sits, it starts really separating into a lot more of the blue. And you can see that the blue stains. So it can be an advantage to having the blue stain, and it also is a disadvantage to having the blue stain. But I keep on adding alcohol and then adding a little bit of air and trying to get this to look more like flowers. And it was a bit of a struggle, but it just amazes me at the intense difference that occurs here with the different papers. You know, it's the same ink, it's just different papers. I didn't really like what I did there, so now I'm trying to undo it. And now I'll get back to not sped up. So now we've used the same color, and we've used them on 3 different substrates. This is the graphics. I'm going to cut out the, I don't really like the lettuce that I put down there, so I'm going to cut it out. There I go. So this is the graphics, and it could end up being a really interesting, I would probably put just a little bit of a dark line through here, and probably just pull just a little bit of interest in here, and not worry necessarily about my colors, but I think I like. And I might even put just a little tiny bit right here. So I just added a little more. I'm going across. I'm making another layer. I'm thinking of really, I'm almost in the snow somewhere. Dusk in the snow. And I'll come across one more time with this. And that looks like a pond, so I'm just going to let that become. I'm just going to let it, I'm not doing anything major with it, I'm just letting it become, and then I may end up letting it become and go a little this way. I'm liking almost all of that, and I think what I would do is just take the one piece of one dot and let it become a moon, pull it off, and want to clean it off a little bit. It needs to be more round. So now I've got the wrong color in there. That's okay. I can clean off that color and still clean this out. Maybe not. Maybe I need to try one more dot. Oh, it's coming up to be a very interesting color now. I'm going to let it sit for a second while it becomes large. And then right as it gets to the very edge of it, I'm going to go straight down and straight up. I like that. Straight down and straight up. So that would be my painting there. I think it would come right about here, and it's just a slightly abstract, but look at all of the gorgeous colors. It's got some gorgeous colors. Now these I'd have to really look at. The Yupo, it starts to become a little problematic. I love the variation in the color, but it's very difficult to really get it to, it becomes so blue in there. There's no way to clean out that blue. So I might end up taking this one might end up being more on the line of, I don't know, have this wonderful gold here. So what happens if I just play a little bit here and just kind of make this very gold and magic kind of happen here. I'm liking that. This I love is here and over here and over here, and I don't really need much there. I like this as almost a bud of some kind up here. So I'm just adding a little bit of wonder to this whole thing, and maybe I'm going to add some in the way of, I like that shape there, I like that here, I might like that there, and then I might put a few little dots in it, maybe bring that around, more dots in that, that's there, and possibly what happened? You may be having performance issues. Hopefully I'm not having performance issues. And there I go here. And I've got something coming up there. So that one I've just kind of let it be a doodle. You know, that one became a gold doodle. Kind of like that. Now this one here, I'm not quite sure if I want to do a gold doodle or whether I want to work on just enhancing it in some other way. I don't know. I've got white pens, but I'm not sure if white's what I want to do, or whether I just want to do a little more in the way of dots. Sometimes I just go and let this become much more dot centered and see what happens if I just let it do what it wants to do. I don't know. As it's just sitting there becoming something. Because this is the NARA, it really is cleaning off a lot. So I don't have a lot of stuff happening in the dots. It's very white. I could try doing the old, let's see what happens when I push it back, because I can also push it back in. And again, it's changing. Can you see how it's changing colors again? And it'll actually go all the way back to white in places. So I'm looking at a little pushback here. See what happens if I do some of that. Just kind of let it become, work on a center here. I'm still feeling very frosty weeds here somehow. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I'm really feeling snow, frosty leaves. So I'm not real, maybe pushing back, but maybe not pushing back. Maybe I've got a hill there. Again, I've got these different colors pulling out of here, but because of it's the NARA, it's not pulling out as many different colors. But because it's the NARA, you know, I might be able to get some really interesting, beautiful things happening, just letting the subtlety become. I'm just letting this just come over again. Okay. I love most of this. I'm not liking right here, so I'm going to come up with that and see what happens if I can get those particular circles gone. But I'm liking what's some way happening here. And I could just take something and just make it more interesting. So I am going to take a fantastix, I think. So this is a brush-shaped fantastix, and I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol on it. And I'm going to just kind of meander through here as if, I don't know, I've got these interesting lines happening, and I want to meander through a little bit of this too. And I'm just letting it do its thing there. But I also want to end up putting pulling some lines up, like there's some snow, or there's some branches, or there's something happening here. I saw that there. And so I can actually pull it up, I can pull it off like here. See how it just came off there? And I can bring it through this and put it off there. Then I can gently bring it up through here and then make it become part of there. So it almost looks like it's a really snowy hill. I don't know whether these are small trees. We'll see. I'm going to bring a bigger one here. I love just playing. So now, I kind of really like that. And I don't know whether I want to do a little bit of a Sharpie in there or not. I could. Love this. I want another whole line of this down here falling now. I want to bring that, keep this coming down a little bit here. As if it's got an ice line or something happening there. Another little line here. And I want this to almost go away. And I want this to have a little bit of, as if there might be some shadows coming. We don't know what they're coming from. Okay. Well, I think that actually ends up being a very interesting sketchy. I don't like this is too, but see, because this is the NARA, I can actually just pull that totally off. I don't have to live with the staining that I had to live with the Yupo. This, I don't really see any need for anything else. I like what's happened with the overflows and the blues. This one, I really think I need it to get some more interest in here. And I probably will grab a black Sharpie if I've got one here. Ooh, I like what happened there, that little thing that happened there. And I may just end up putting just a little bit of interest in here, and maybe even just a tiny bit of black. So here. And the beauty with the black Sharpie is that it will, it also will end up, it's alcohol ink, so if you do it too much, you can undo it. But I'm liking just the I'm very sketchy here with this. Not really making a lot of definition. I'm more or less just letting it sketch its way up, and I might even put one or two little lines here, and maybe something coming. And maybe there's just a little bit more of a hill here too, with a little bit of stuff here. Scribble! I scribble all the time. Okay, I think that painting's done. I'm gonna call it a painting. So thank you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching. This one was my favorite one out of the three, and this one my least favorite, but I still like it. And then I really like this other last one. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned stuff. Bye.